Invocation this evening will be by Dave Foss from Bethel Church. We'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Very good. You bet. Let's pray. Jesus, as we gather here tonight, we're grateful that as we call upon you, you hear us. And in a room like this, in a moment like this, we can turn our attention to you. So we thank you for that. Thank you for this city. Thank you for Fergus Falls. Thank you, Lord, for the gift to live here, for neighbors, for community, for the good that we share together. And I just pray, Lord, for the members of this council, for our mayor. You have entrusted them with great responsibility. Give them wisdom, clarity, steadiness. Help them to think carefully, listen well. We entrust them with a lot. And so we thank you that you would give them the ability to do what you've called them to do. So in their conversations, guide them and strengthen our community because of what's done here tonight. We ask your blessing on them as people, in their work, in their homes, their families. Give them encouragement when they need that. People in public roles need encouragement. So give them that at just the right time. Strength and a sense that their service matters. So thank you again for those that serve the city. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Here.
Here. Here. Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
We have a quorum. First item on the agenda is open forum. It's a time to address items of city business that are not on this evening's agenda. If you'd care to step forward to the lectern, state your name and the city in which you live. Don't all rush tonight. Well, okay, with that, we will move on to approval of the agenda. Al Kremeyer has asked that we add an item to the agenda regarding ashbourne tree disease. And what was you looking for specifically, Al?
What a constituent came to my employment today and was talking about the ash borer and the situation with the trees of the ash trees in the city and also on the golf course. As far as what, is there anything being talked about as that, and what is the predicted blight on that? What are we supposed to be looking for? What are we doing about it? Has that been brought up or any conversation?
Thank you. With that,
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to add a new business, just a highlight of the premium savings on the city's insurance policy that was just published today.
anything else? So, I don't know whether Bill is in a place to talk about it.
I haven't looked at it yet, so.
So,
I just got a real quick recap of the savings. Not going to go into it deep.
is everybody good with that? Did you still want to remove item 4 from the consent agenda?
Yes, item number 4, I'd like to move to the resolution, please.
It just takes it off the consent agenda. With that, with those two additions, some commentary about ashbourne disease and insurance savings, and removing item 4 from the consent agenda to discuss. Would somebody care to make that motion?
I'll make the motion, please.
Thank you, Mark. Would somebody care to second it?
I'll second.
Thank you, Laura. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Hearing none, the agenda is approved with revisions. There are no public hearings this evening. We're going to shift a little bit of the petition for economic development before resolution of awarding the tree trimming. So with that, James.
Well, good evening, Your Honor, members of the council. I just wanted to take a brief moment to provide an update on economic development. Excuse me. It's been a day. Bottom line up front, I'm going to basically capture everything since October when I started. After today, we've approached roughly 50 businesses in this community. I think one of the biggest differences now that we're doing is we're actually proactive in terms of trying to meet with companies, trying to get out there, discuss what needs they have, et cetera. Within that sort of 50 framework, we've had 6 growth meetings with our largest employers. Of those largest employers, several have actually started looking at expansion. In fact, a couple have actually looked at, how could we grow from a site selector perspective? So I like how companies in Fergus are looking at it. The abnormal part of that is if they're talking about site selectors, naturally, they're wondering what else is out there. However, so far, every company I've met with respect to their expansion plans, we've effectively convinced them to stay in Fergus and do their expansions and growth here. As far as meeting with them, this is upstream work, so as much as I'd like things to move more quickly, what happens when you start bringing incentives into play is whether it's with the state of Minnesota or you're going to get a couple of TIF applications here over the next week or two. It starts a clock, but then it also puts the project off by 60, depending on the state's timeline, maybe 90 days. So a lot of companies that have been looking at, hey, let's go ahead maybe next month or something to that effect, they may have to wait another month. That's just the reality associated with how these programs work. As far as the growth and expansion pipeline is concerned, we have 5 expansion planning or projects in planning, 2 of which are fairly advanced, as I mentioned. You'll get 2 TIF applications here within the next week, maybe 2. And then we've got a third one that's emerging relatively quickly for an additional expansion. So it's going to get really busy here very soon. On the conservative end, it should be around 90 jobs, 13 million in projected construction. And for me, I find these to be right-sized projects for this community because you have an average of roughly 9 to 12 for each of these projects. And, they're not speculative mega deals. I don't intend on ever bringing something like that to you. In addition to that, retail and commercial activity, obviously we've had a couple of closures or projected closures that have been announced or happening due to either infrastructure or corporate decisions that are made thousands of miles from here. However, we do have 4 positive retail site selection activities happening right now. One would be a new build, and you're looking at roughly outside of construction, 20 to 25 jobs. This doesn't include Quick Trip or anything you guys are already working. So these are new in addition to. As far as federal and state coordination is concerned, we've had almost 24 meetings now with the state of Minnesota, USDA, and various partners. One of the things that the mayor and I are trying to work are bringing additional dollars from the federal government and the state of Minnesota into the community so that we've already got a pretty robust lending pool option, but we want to have additional ones. And since other communities are taking advantage of these, we're working with the sort of requisite federal and state authorities to find the right place to park that money so that we can leverage it, because we're trying to stack tools now. So as deals come along, we'll have 3 or 4 stacks we could use in order to fund that. In addition to business growth, we're also trying to stem the impact associated with the 6.5, 7-month highway closure that's coming. We actually had a meeting in this room about an hour and a half ago, and I don't know, I think we probably had about 24 people here to kind of listen to details regarding the project, even though we didn't want to get ahead of MnDOT, but we felt that. So I threw a completely new strategy at them. So I felt like if we're going to try something new, you're going to need 60 to 90 days. Shopping local campaigns are important. However, statistically, their efficacy isn't as great as you'd like to see them. So we've actually made the suggestion to go out and create clusters to change behavior. And if you can change behavior and keep people in town from leaving because they don't know what to do or they don't have anywhere to go, you can mitigate basically some of the revenue losses that are likely going to happen as a result of 18,000 vehicles not being able to come off of exit 54 starting in roughly a month. So we're not just recruiting, we're also defending the existing tax base, which I think is critical. And then in addition to that, there's active engagement naturally with various projects from distributors to multiple employer expansions, like I said, and then obviously the quick trip component. So disciplined pipeline for the first 5 months, in my belief, and I suspect it's going to continue to be this way. And in addition to that, now that we're seeing the expansion activity that's about to kind of start accelerating, at that point, I think it's appropriate to start looking toward, could we recruit 2 or 3 new companies to come here to mostly light industrial? We do have some retail gaps, but realistically speaking, light industrial is more likely than not to be the most effective mechanism. Plus, it'll be good because of the inventory of commercial and industrial properties right now, or those that are anticipated to come. You want to find good fits for them, so make it easy for everybody. I'm not sure if you have slides, but if you do, I'm going to move on to the second one. Oh, sorry. Oh, we'll get them sent out. Oh, you have them in the packet. Okay, perfect. All right. So on the second slide, that's effectively a recap of our growth session that we had a couple of weeks ago. I think the key for the community is stability over speculation. And that's key because it's incremental, but it's going to give you ultimately the tools you need to achieve the goals, where we have local expansion first, selective recruitment second, as I just mentioned, with a heavy emphasis on light manufacturing and assembly. Then we've got some rail-adjacent logistics and highway-adjacent logistics opportunities underway. I still think value-added ag is something that we need to work toward coming into this year because there are some major opportunities in that space. Obviously, some professional office users because of the you've got some slack. I walked the streets today. It was great, but there's definitely some slack. But in the aggregate, 5 to 15 position creation job projects for each, I think, is the sweet spot. And it'll be one big oversized strain, I think, if we went and chased something bigger. We do have a project, though, that Clara and I have been working that could be fairly sizable. I just don't want to get too excited about it because, well, they're still doing research on certain parcels. But it seems like it's increasing now with the weather warming up. The interest is now kind of moving more quickly. Also, in accordance with the strategy document we put together a couple weeks ago for 26 and 27, the focus is going to be on housing treated as an economic development tool, and then workforce housing defined by real math. I think that's the key. And so my plan is, now that we have defined areas in the community to look at, to go to probably Fargo-Moorhead and maybe the Twin Cities to see what slack they have, because they do have some overbuilt environments. So they are looking for opportunities, and sometimes their research arms aren't quite as keen on looking into greater Minnesota as well as they should. So my hope is that slack will create the ability for us to kind of move in there and present something that they hadn't considered in the past. In addition to that, where growth lands, just to reiterate, we're looking at the Stanton Rail and dairy properties so that they're not scattered. It's concentrated more strategically. And then obviously having the right guardrails and execution parameters in place to ensure that the incentives are used as tools but not defaults. And so I heard that loud and clear a couple of weeks ago. And so by the end of 26, I think we'll have some good planning underway for those projects. And then hopefully in 27, we have steady and durable growth, not just on the economic development side, but in those key math-driven areas that we're listening to from employers in terms of what they need to attract people. And so anyway, those are the 2 slides in a nutshell. It's a good first 5 months. It's actually progressing much faster. I gave you guys metrics early. And I thought, okay, this is probably right size for a community of this, this size, mid-sized. But it's making my job easier, so I appreciate that. Thank you. So with that, Your Honor and members of the council, I open it up to questions.
Any questions of James? Mark?
You bring some great energy. Thank you very much. Wonderful.
Your Honor, Councilmember Layton, thank you. It's everybody. Though. I have to tell you.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Your team. I have to admit, like I'm working folks hard. They might get annoyed. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. By how many texts and stuff they're getting every day. But no, they're pushing the needle. So thank
You
you.
got great story, great direction. Except you missed the Chicago Bears.
Laurel?
Thank you for your presentation. It's very helpful, as have your monthly reports have been very helpful too. Is there anything we as a council can do to make your job easier, to support you better? What can we do, or who can we pull in from the community to help you? You're doing a lot of very successful things, and we're thankful for that, but how can we be better aids to you in your process?
Your Honor, Councilmember Kildee, I actually think you are. Whether you realize it or not, I have actually strategically leveraged a few folks here for their networks in the community for very specific projects. I think some of the perceptions of what the city was last year are they've been worked through, and now we're starting to see land deals. We're starting to see what will eventually be TIF applications this week. And frankly, at this point, I think you're doing really well already. I mean, everybody, when folks have questions, and there are a few of you that'll call me relatively, whether it's weekly, biweekly, or text me, did you know this was happening? And then, okay, let me look into it and find out why. So the information flow is great. I think the willingness to try on new approaches has been wonderful. So I don't know if I don't know if I need anything now. In fact, you appropriated, in my opinion, the right amount for some of the ancillary tools. I mean, we've been talking, Andrew and I, about, there's 10,000 maybe here. Is there a way we can potentially do something in order to offset X? And so, there may be some asks, but you've already budgeted for it. It's nothing crazy, but it'll help a lot of these small businesses get through some of the tougher times that are coming. So no, I don't. At this point, I think everybody's been great.
I think it would be fair to say, I mean, I've attended a number of the meetings with James to businesses, but I think there's a great openness now that, they don't see the city as a negative. The city's going and asking, how can we help? What can we do? Where are you at? Is there something that, we've missed? And I think, there's actually been almost a pent-up desire for growth, but there's been no kind of release mechanism for people. And I think we visited a business today who was looking at, they have a bottleneck in their facility, and that to, basically alleviate that bottleneck was a $300,000, piece of equipment. And that's a lot for them to take on. And we talked about, obviously, there's a program that you can borrow up to $500,000 on, basically zero interest. And that was something that, they didn't know about. And that's going to help move that business. It's an eight-month lead time on the piece of equipment anyway. But, they were looking at maybe they would hope to do that in 27, but this could actually speed that up. And so I think, and that's just one story that we've heard, in the varied visits that we've done. So I think just actually going and knocking on the doors of these businesses and actually making them feel welcome, that, we are here and that we're looking to help them expand and grow, and even just, answer any general questions about the city as being a positive.
Dr. Lehman, I appreciate you so much in the work that you've done over the last few months. I think one of the things that the community should know that is different about you and past economic development individuals is your knack or ability to go out and find state, federal funding. And that's not something that we see in a community this size all the time. And I think that's one of the things when I first met with you, I was like, does he really do this or not? But it's the truth. You go out and do that. And you bridge that gap for some of these companies that just, they can't go to the bank and get it. Can you speak a little bit more to the community about how that process works and kind of what you look towards when you're doing that?
Your Honor, Councilmember Mortensen, one of the benefits and detriments of being in Minnesota is because you're in Minnesota, you're obviously up against deregulated states. And so the state itself has actually created what I would consider a fairly robust pool, excuse me, of economic development incentives. And so it's a function of really listening to companies, because as Mayor Hicks said, a lot of them have had plans that have been, I've seen them as old as 7 years old. I've seen them as young as 2 years ago, and then some folks just have ideas. But the reality is, it's a listening function, and then understanding kind of where the chips can fall locally, state, and federally, because whether it's the federal Made in America initiative, and they don't necessarily have a Made in America program named that way, but they have created roughly 100 or so programs that they've scattered across federal agencies. And then within the state of Minnesota, you probably have about a quarter of that. So it's a function of listening and then being able to identify which umbrella they would fall under. And then what I've noticed about businesses here, which I find remarkable, is because I've met with many companies and their bankers now. They don't want to. They'll look at it and say, "Yeah, I can probably save 40 or 50K, but I don't want to undercut my financial institution either." So what I'm finding is the sweet spot is sitting with the company first, then meeting with their banker and or whoever advises them, and then from there prescribing more or less something that fits well within their corporate ethos, their relationships, and their desire to grow, instead of saying, "Yeah, you can technically save a couple $100 more grand over 15 years on interest or 10 years on interest if you did this." I'm finding that if you listen and then you go, okay, these are probably the more strategic projects or programs you want to take on. And then once you're able to kind of walk them through that and help them understand what that means, I find them to be very receptive. So that's a huge testament also for the businesses here, because they're willing to pay more to continue their 19-year relationship with their banker.
Any other questions of James?
I think that also to James, when you explain something to a business owner or a client, and I've seen it, you know, they're timid in a certain way, but then when you explain something, you can kind of see that just go away, and then they're very comfortable, and they want to pursue what you have to tell them, and that's a huge benefit. They've never had that before, so I thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, with that, thank you, James.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a great night, everybody.
Will do. Right, the next item on the agenda is a resolution awarding the tree trimming and tree removal bid to Cars Tree Service. And I will call upon Len Taylor.
Thank you, Your Honor. We do a contract for tree services on a 2-year rotating basis, and we recently put out a request for quotes for the next 2-year cycle. We received one. We had it published in the Daily Journal, on our website, and on the Quest CDN contractors webpoint. The one bid we did receive was a contractor we've used now for the last 10 years. Cars Tree Service has done great service for us, and we're very confident in their abilities, and their prices have increased, as you see in the memo, just a little bit, but how we manage the funds is there's a set amount budgeted, and we try to keep them to that budgeted amount. However, if there are more Dutch elm disease trees than what we have budgeted for, then we have to look elsewhere in the budget. But the last few years, our Dutch elm disease numbers are down, so that's a good thing. So they do the Dutch elm program, they do a tree trimming program, which we have 5 areas in the city that have been identified that we cycle through each year. So we're on, I think, the second round of the 3rd area. So we're doing pretty good on our tree trimming, and it shows in the storm damage. We don't have a lot of trees blowing down during the storm events as what we did before we did a tree trimming program. You can see some of the numbers of trees that have been removed in the last couple of years. We typically try to replace one for one. We've replaced or planted 270 trees in the last 2 years, but we did lose a lot more than that in the last couple of years, and that's mainly because of the campground project. In that project alone, we lost over 120 some trees. So that's an anomaly on how many trees we lost. So resolution I'm seeking is just name Cars Tree Service as our tree contractor for the period ending 2027, December 31st.
Would somebody care to make that resolution?
I'll make that.
Thank you, Scott. Would somebody care to second it?
Mark Layton.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions of Len? Yep, Laurel?
This kind of feeds into what we added as new business that Councilmember Krameyer brought up. How does the emerald ash borer play into this? And we have a Dutch elm program. I don't know, Mayor, if it's appropriate to kind of have that conversation now. I mean, we're
could,
kind of there.
Seeing as we're tree,
Yeah.
we could branch out if you want.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Sure.
The individual that came and spoke to me today, and we visited for probably a half hour, he was very concerned about the golf course, very concerned about, the ash trees that are going to be infected by this. What's the prediction on that? I haven't had a chance to look it up or to research that today. That happened late this morning. But, what do you guys know about it?
We know it's coming. It's in Clay County, it's in Stearns County, it's all around us. So it's a matter of time. And once it's here, it will decimate the ash tree population. So the golf course does have a number of ash trees on the property, but throughout the city, there are thousands. So it's going to be similar to the Dutch elm issue that we've faced for the last 35, 40 years.
Is there any thoughts as far as planting trees ahead of this, something else now to get them started before this starts hitting?
Hadn't thought of planting ahead of time, no, but we've thought of setting aside money for that eventual, when we have to start removing them.
What species would you use? Do you think what would be a hardy tree for, that would fit in well?
I'll defer to Andy,
Okay.
the tree guy.
So I think
Andy
that, maybe we should look at that too, the word decimate, for a Tree City, USA, I think we need to kind of look into this a little bit ahead of time, be proactive on it if we can.
Yes, I agree.
Thanks.
It might be something that the tax levy committee has to allocate some budget resources to planting trees.
Come on, Leighton.
Your Honor, one other
There
thing.
was a request for that this year. Just saying.
I know we've talked at a meeting prior about the D Lagoon trees that went in 2025 and that the goal was to replant some. Is that still on the agenda to get some trees planted out there to make up for a lot of that?
There is a plan for that, yes.
Thank you.
Did we plant any extra ones on the around the aquatic center? Because that was another area that we lost a lot of trees.
No extra were planted on that
Yeah.
property. The building itself took up a lot of that space, so there's not really a whole lot of space with the
Space to
existing
do
trees.
that. Right.
So there's such a canopy there.
Okay. Thank you.
Your Honor, does Carr have an arborist?
They do, yes, sir.
It'd be nice to have him, like Al said, have him come in and give us a presentation.
The city has an arborist. The city has one.
Let's have two.
Right. So, with that, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Right. The resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Motion approving the minutes from the February 17, 2026 council meeting and the February 25, 2026 committee of the whole. Motion approving licenses, an updated list on your desk. A resolution approving a conditional use permit for a pylon sign on the property located at 530 Western Avenue as recommended by the Planning Commission. A motion exploring the sale or transfer of the city-owned parcel in the Millers addition to the Fergus Falls School District. And a resolution authorizing the finance director to send a request for proposals for municipal advisor services. If somebody would care to make that resolution, please.
I'll offer that.
Thank you, Laurel. Would somebody care to second it?
Second.
Thank you, Al. Roll call, please.
Your Honor, in regards to the February 25th, 26th Committee of the Whole meeting, I would like to have it added under the e-bike ordinance policy that it includes all forms of transportation, be it a rollerblade, skateboard, scooter, as discussed during that meeting.
With that addition to the Committee of the Whole minutes, are you still good with that?
Yeah, that's just adding that was discussed. Is that what we're adding?
Yes, it was discussed at the meeting. It
Yep,
wasn't
yeah,
in
it
the
was.
minutes.
Yes. Yep. I'm fine with that.
Yep. Al?
Yep.
Yep. Right, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 The consent agenda resolutions is approved. Councilmember Layton asked for the resolution approving a task order for Houston Engineering to conduct groundwater monitoring and maintenance of the MPCA permit for the landfill to be removed. Over to Mark.
Yeah, thank you. We've had conversations, the Committee of the Whole, and I've had conversations with Mr. Meyer with more. I would like to have the groundwater inspection bid, or if you will, RFP.
Do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Councilmember Layton. So this is a contract that the city has used for a number of years, and we've got a long-standing relationship with Houston Engineering, and with me coming on relatively new to this process, this is something at this point in time, if we were to put that out to bids, I mean, we're already in February for 2026. That process would put us, deep into the year. And if we want to go down that route with this facility, what I would like to see is to approve that for 2026. And then if down the road, if we want to look at bidding this out, to look at it for 2027.
Obviously, I'm not the water engineer, and I don't know what the contract is. Is it a contract or is this an annual contract?
This would be the annual contract for them to do all of that monitoring and permit renewal for 2026.
And when does that contract renew?
It would be at the end of the year.
No, right now. I mean, is it renewing January 1st of 26, or is it renewing?
Yes, January 1st.
What would it take to get a bid?
It would take putting together a request for qualifications or a request for proposals. Then we would have to send that out, advertise for, 2-3 weeks, and open bids. So we would be, a couple months down the road.
And when did their work have to start this year?
They're already working.
I understand the dilemma. This new council's requested RFPs since day one, and you're the new boy on the block as well. Would it save money? Would it not save money? I don't know. No different than any other project.
Yep.
I would like to see it RFP'd, but I understand the gun store ahead here.
Scott?
If I remember correctly, when we discussed this earlier, this is it's not a lump sum amount, but it's a billed by the service
Correct, by the hour.
by the hour deal. And so they're going to charge us for what they do as they do it. I think that going out for an RFP on this, timing-wise, is not good as far as that goes. And the likelihood of it saving us the cost of the RFP is pretty minimal. So I would encourage us to go ahead with the contract as it's been presented, and
I
why
would-
we put it on the consent agenda in the first place.
I would agree with that. And again, as discussed, a large portion of this contract is lab services. I think 40-some thousand were lab services of the contract.
Bill?
Based on this, Your Honor, based on this,
Just a minute. Bill had something to add.
Kyle, this is all related to our closure and post-closure services on the old landfill, right?
Correct.
So that is fully funded through the financial assurance that we have set aside for that. So it doesn't go against the current rates on that. It's the funds for the old landfill that we account for that post-closure. It's all, we have to do that according to the state, and then we get the state authorization to reimburse us for it. But wanted us just to be clear on the funding source. It's within the refuse fund, but we have set all that aside for all those years that we took waste into that ash cell. So it's just the funding side of it.
Mike, yeah.
Just a second, Your Honor. I think first off, we want to thank Mr. Layton for at least looking at this. What he's trying to do here is save the taxpayer money. That's what he's trying to do, nothing more. I don't think there's anything with Houston Engineering. They've done many things in this city, but he's looking to save them money. The two questions I have is going to be more geared to 2027 when we're looking at this is, when does their testing start? I think you said they're doing it right now, but is there more testing in the summer? Is that when they're doing it, or is it just periodically every month? That's the first question. And then, does any of their knowledge of what they've done in 24, 25 carry with them to 26? Or if we switch over in 27 to a new group or whatever to do this, are we hurting ourselves because of prior knowledge?
Sure. So first question, I'm going to maybe call upon Dennis McAlpine. He's online right now. He's the engineer from Houston Engineering that the city's been working with. So Dennis, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you hear the question?
Could you restate it?
I'll give it back to you. Two things. I want to know when testing starts, or when the heaviest part of testing is, if it's in the summer months or if it's in right now. And then I want to know if your knowledge from 24, 25 aids you in 26, if we look at doing something different in 27.
Yeah, thank you. Our testing is throughout the year. So your facility, you actually have two facilities, and the bulk of the testing is done on the closed facility, which is referred to as SW184. So as part of that, you are governed and regulated by the PCA under a closure document. And in that closure document, it specifies very specific testing windows. So we have spring, summer, fall, and I guess the autumn is about as close to winter as you can get. So there are 4 periods throughout the year that we're looking at, whether it's landfill gas and or groundwater monitoring. We use the data that's collected during, we'll say 2025, is reported on in 2026. So we've been working to provide a report that was submitted to the MPCA on Friday. So you report on the previous year's information that you gather in the following year. Your second question about, that what's the value of that institutional knowledge? Well, a couple things. If you were to go out and do this annually, that would be a burden on staff in order to have to retain the data and any of the communique with the MPCA if there's a handoff between, consultants that are providing the work. I guess the secondary part of that is that the PCA has really not had much of a history of being responsive in the year that reports are provided. So you may get yourself in a situation where you're going to get a response from them 2 years from now, and that's not a stretch. That a report that we submitted in 2023, we may get a response from it now in 2026. So somebody is going to need to be a clearinghouse for that. I understand Council Member Layton's concern. Your facility is not. You have a really challenged facility. I mean, you have a known contamination plume. And, you know, I guess the value that Houston brings is that institutional knowledge and what that does to relate to the other engineering components of it. Whether it's, you know, permit renewals and or new conditions from the MPCA. So, you know, as Mr. Meyer mentioned, I mean, a lot of this is testing and lab work, you know, so this is really commodity driven. When we came on board in 2019 to do your groundwater monitoring work, we switched from PACE to Eurofins as a savings to both you and us. So, you know, the bulk of that is just, it's basically what lab fees are. So probably apologies for a long-winded response to 2 questions. Apologies.
Any other questions?
You know, can I share just a little side note?
Sure.
I'll speak on my appreciation for the work that Dennis does for us, because part of this too, when we work on our capital planning and look at that landfill out there and how is the build out going to go, when we look at, you know, when do you dig the next cell and dig the next one, we don't know how to, we don't do landfills. Dennis does that. So he helps me project that out of when will we have to build the next cell? What will that cost be? So I've relied on him heavily this last year for doing the capital planning with that. So I know, how do we build that out so we can project rates and what would rates need to be based on what we're doing? And he's also doing the annual reporting for us now too. I'm working with Troy now in your office on that. So just wanted to speak, he's been very helpful to us in managing that landfill. It is a complex place, and I know I can't do that by myself.
And I would add that having dealt obviously extensively with kind of the agency, you know, there is a relationship that you establish between some of the people in St. Paul that, you know, comes back to that institutional knowledge and the fact that if you can answer their questions in a timely fashion because of having knowledge, that there's a value to that that you don't necessarily appreciate up front. So, yeah, so we need obviously a resolution to either, you know, somebody needs to make a resolution one way or the other.
I'll make a resolution. We offer Houston Engineering bid.
Thank you, Scott.
I'll second.
Thank you, Scott. So, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 The resolution is approved. Thank you very much, Dennis, for your input. I think it was educational.
It
If
helped.
there's an opportunity to come and speak to you folks about this, I mean, a lot of this might be education. I would be more than willing to share at a committee or a meeting for interested parties.
Your Honor, I would welcome that.
Yeah.
It would educate the public as well as the
I
council.
second it.
Okay, yeah, we'll get you on a committee of the whole one morning. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is ordinance and resolutions. The first one is a first reading, Ordinance 77, 8th Series Boards and Commissions. We just need somebody to introduce that this evening.
I'll offer that.
Thank you, Laurel. The next item is the second reading of Ordinance 78, 8th Series, amending Chapter 121, low-dose hemp. And I think that would require a roll call.
I'll offer that.
I think it's just a straight roll call. I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
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 The item is approved. The next item is a motion directing the city attorney to draft a contract with Visit Fergus Falls. And we would need a motion to, we discussed this obviously at the committee of the whole, so we're looking this evening for a motion to instruct the city attorney to draft out a contract. That contract would come back to the committee of the whole and then go on to the council.
I'll offer that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Scott. Would somebody care to second that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Laura.
And, Your Honor, when will we see that back again, Rolf, you think?
Soon.
I've dictated it already, so it's just sitting in dictation. I mean, I envision getting it
minute,
into
all.
the mayor's hands probably later this week, and Andrew's hands.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I'll try to get it to you by next week if possible.
Thank you.
With that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign.
Abstain.
Just hang on a second.
Yep.
You're
Abstain.
I said no.
Mark said no. So so it fails.
No, it's a motion.
It's a motion. It's a motion, so it
It's all in
passes.
favor. It's a majority.
Okay, so the motion is approved. The next item is a resolution designating no parking on Cavour Avenue, Mill Street to Cascade Avenue, and I will call upon Kyle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Tonight, I have in front of you a resolution for no parking on a piece of Cavour Street. Today, that section of street that's just west of Cascade has restricted parking today. The reason it does is because the right-of-way there narrows down. So when we are putting in the new street, the street has to be narrower than the rest of the section. So as part of the state aid review, this would be a section where we would have no parking. And this section of roadway today, essentially the piece just west of Cascade is railroad right-of-way on the north side of the road, and then it's all parking lot on the south side of the road. So this really isn't, I don't think, a change from where we are today or causes any parking issues on this section of the road.
Your Honor, I got it.
It's a resolution, so if somebody can make. the
I'll
resolution.
make it.
I'll second it, but I got a couple of
Yep.
questions. I wasn't at the meeting at the last one, but I just wanted to know, when you're narrowing that road up, and we're gonna put boulevards on both sides, right?
Yep.
And we're gonna have grass there, so everybody's gonna have to mow the grass. What's the reason to narrow it up?
Really cost. That street was very wide, so when you look at paving that large of a section of street, really when it's not needed. So we had significant cost savings to narrow it down, still get the parking where we have today on the street both sides.
And so the parking won't be affected at all? And how much narrower are we gonna be? Okay, I should have called you and told you to ask this question, I'm sorry.
It's roughly like 10 feet.
10 feet, okay.
Yeah.
And then the responsibility of the boulevards are gonna be?
The property owners.
Okay.
A large section of this block is city-owned property.
Right.
And we are looking at, today we have it designed as parallel parking. We are looking at just what the option would be to go to diagonal.
On the
Okay, thank you.
But this section is right at this end.
Yeah, it would just be the piece, that straight section coming off of Cascade is where this
So it's
no parking
after,
would be.
it's where Ottail Valley offices is.
right.
That's where it's narrow and
That's
no
where
parking.
this is, yeah.
But
The whole thing's gonna
the
be
rest
narrow.
of it is gonna be
Yep.
narrowed up. to the
Narrower
yeah,
than what
narrower,
it is
yeah.
today, yep.
Okay.
Scott?
The map that was provided in the packet, I'm not seeing any boulevards on it. So I'm not to disagree with Mr. Rachel's, but it looks to me like it's just concrete.
That section of the street does not have boulevards.
So there's no boulevards in that narrowest part?
Correct.
right? Okay, thanks.
Boulevards will be down
They're down
the
further.
last two
Yeah,
blocks.
but that
Down
was-
to the west
yeah,
further,
but
yeah.
We had already talked about that for the rest of it. But so for this section that's going to get narrower, there's not going to be any additional boulevards.
Nope.
Yeah, no change. Thank you.
With that, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 The resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is presentation of claims in the amount of $648,725.55. Would somebody care to make that resolution?
I'll offer, Your Honor.
I'll
you.
second.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Laurel. Any questions of Bill? If not, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Your
The
Honor,
resolution-
point of order, please. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7 council people.
Yep.
A resolution, does that not have to have 5 votes?
It does, which is a motion.
The Visit Fergus Falls item was a motion.
That was a motion, that wasn't a resolution.
Thank you.
No, the resolution is approved for paying the claims. Under old business, unfinished business, travel center truck stop definition, call upon Clara Beck. And we talked about this obviously at the committee of the whole, and the council want to kind of clearer definition about what exactly would differentiate a truck stop over a convenience store.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That is a good synopsis of the discussion that we had on Wednesday morning. I heard your feedback and incorporated it into a new definition that is in your packet, but I will read it out loud just so that we're all on the same page, and then I will welcome some feedback on that. The new definition that we have in your packet of a truck stop / travel center is a facility including any appurtenant parking or service areas that is distinguished from a typical gas station or convenience store by its design and purpose to provide services for commercial motor vehicles, shortened to CMVs, whose principal uses include A, dispensing fuel or electrical motive power, B, providing designated CMV parking spaces that constitute at least 2/3 of all off-street parking spaces, not including employee parking, and C, 2 or more of the following accessory uses: full-service restaurant, showers, and other sanitary facilities, laundry, driver's lounge, truck scales, minor repair, truck wash, and similar uses customarily incidental to serving commercial motor vehicle operators. So the changes that were made were directly in response to the request to remove some of the ambiguity around extended truck parking and driver amenities. Feedback from council on Wednesday morning was that maybe that just wasn't clear enough and it could cause problems down the road when we're trying to judge a project coming forward as whether or not it's a truck stop versus a convenience store. We also removed the 2,500 feet from an interstate highway system line. I think the idea behind that, when we were discussing that Wednesday morning, is that it's possible that there may be locations that could count as a truck stop that are not necessarily directly adjacent to an interstate or close by an interstate like that definition would require. Just a reminder that going forward with this definition does not mean that it is automatically in city code, doesn't mean that we are approving the ordinance tonight. This is simply the definition piece, and we will need to continue discussing the regulations in a full ordinance. I plan to bring that back to you at a future meeting here, but tonight we are talking about this, this definition. So any questions or comments?
Any questions of Clara on the definition? Is it what people envisaged from Wednesday's conversation?
As long as it comes back in front of us, that's all.
Yeah,
That's it.
So I think.
Are you looking for a motion, Your Honor, or not really?
No, I think this is just to, I mean, Clara will take this and then we'll obviously add this to the ordinance, and then the ordinance will come back for review by this body, and then ultimately once that's finalized, then it would come to the council for approval. So it was more that everybody's on the same page of what definition is.
I just want to make sure I'm hitting all the points that you wanted to hit.
Yep.
Yes.
Ms. Beck, two things for you. First one, just a little bit of a clarification. 2/3 of all off-street parking. Just give me kind of what you're looking at there, so I know exactly where we're at.
Sure. So I did some further research, found some documentation from a nationwide survey of truck stops to see what the breakdown is of parking on for a truck stop across the country, and it seemed generally that about 2/3 of the lot, so the parking spaces themselves, are designated for truck parking, so either sized that way for truck parking or indicated through signage as truck parking. They made up 2/3 of that parking lot for that business. So it would be a smaller amount of parking available for regular cars. We would not be including employee parking in this. We do have requirements for how much employee parking needs to be on a site, so we would judge this outside of that requirement. But basically, the majority of parking is going to be for overnight or long-term truck parking or just truck parking in general.
Yeah, so when we were talking in like the committee of the whole, we throw out a number 40%, different things. This is your equivalent to really lay down the numbers and actually get a calculated amount with
Yes.
it. Okay. I'm going to publicly say here tonight that Mrs. Beck, this is absolutely wonderful. This is wonderful. This was some work, and you grabbed just about everything that kind of I had in my head that I was thinking that was there. So I'll commend you tonight for the work that you did on the definition. We've got a ways to go on a little bit farther with the ordinance because there's going to be things in there that I would definitely like to add to protect some of the citizens of this community. But the definition was good.
Great, thank you.
If nobody else has any other questions, thank you, Clara. We'll look forward to the draft ordinance. The next item under new business is a resolution accepting donations for the sculpture walk. And we'll call upon Bill Somnall. Oh, sorry. Yep. No, did you want to speak? Sorry. Yeah, come on.
I think some of us would like to discuss.
Yep.
Start it off. I'll try to be quick. Eric Ugerud, one of the residents by the proposed new Quick Trip site. I want to start off by thanking Councilman Mortensen. You've done a lot of work on this and very much listened to us. I would just make a comment that I slightly disagree on the new ordinance because I think what's going to happen here is Quick Trip is going to come in with an ordinance like that, and they're going to design a facility that attracts trucks, and they're going to put it on their website as a truck-friendly. If you go on the Quick Trip website, they have a truck-friendly designation. And so if we say 2/3, then somebody could build something that's 65%, and then it's not considered a truck stop. But to us neighbors, we know that it's allowing trucks into our neighborhood. I think it'd be much more clean if we went back, and I sent an email to you council members about this last week. I think it'd be much more clean if we had, we all know the difference between a gas station and a truck stop. It's when a gas station puts in extra features designed to attract trucks. I think we'd be much more clean. I think it would help us in the future as we're trying to look at the ordinance language so that we're not allowing a business to come in that actually attracts trucks, but now we don't call it a truck stop because our ordinance didn't say it that way. The previous ordinance said a truck stop includes one or more features primarily designed to serve commercial vehicle operators, such as extended truck parking, driver amenities, or truck-scaled fueling or charging infrastructure. It's really the parking and the truck-scaled fueling that we're concerned about as neighbors, and I would like to see us keep it that way with the original language that was in there. I think it'll help us in our discussions later.
I'm Ramona Heitman. I live at 1261 South Tower Road. I just want to add a couple things. In the previous definition of the truck stop, you had a location preference or location requirement within 2,500 feet, right? So I guess my main concern is the proximity to residences, schools, and hospitals. And at where does that get put in the ordinance? Is that part of the definition for the location? As I think that's an important piece. I strongly feel that the truck pieces of a truck stop should be within limited to no closer than 500 feet from the nearest residence, school, or hospital. Just to protect sensitive groups from the noise and pollution. So whether that becomes part of the the definition or whether that's part of the ordinance, I don't know. But I think that that's highly important. I do want to say thank you that you've, to include 2 or more, be specific. I am still a little confused with your 2/3. Is that 2/3 of the parking spaces or 2/3 of the square footage?
Parking spaces.
And that's clear? Okay, I didn't see the wordage, and I couldn't find it in the packet that was online. So,
It says spaces. Okay, it does say parking spaces.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then the other piece, oh, dang it, notes on phone. I also want to just comment on a couple things that were said on Wednesday's meeting. One is that one council member mentioned that overnight parking has happened at RDO, and this is simply not the case. I have lived across the street from RDO for 8 years and have never seen a truck parked there overnight. RDO has signs prohibiting overnight parking. There are occasional truck parkings happen there, that they are for no more than a few hours. So I do commend the council for making sure that you don't code in another business. R1 versus RA was also talked about on Wednesday morning's meeting. And although residential agriculture may not have residences, like the property that that is spurring this conversation, some of us live on residential agriculturally zoned property, and I don't think that council should disregard my right to live peacefully and safely on my own property. Thereby request that at least residences within an RA zone property be included in the distance requirement for that truck stop ordinance. Finally, I would like to again state, as I did in a letter to the Planning Commission, that I believe a truck stop better aligns with businesses allowed in the industrial zoning and would recommend the council move the language to that section. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramon. Anybody else? If not, thank you for your comments. The next item on the agenda is under new business, a resolution accepting donations for the sculpture walk, and we'll call upon Bill Sumwall.
Thank you, Your Honor. Council, we received a check just the other day for a donation, a grant from the Vadine Trust for the sculpture walk. I know, Clara, you worked on this. Getting that, the city was awarded it's $65,100 over 3 years. This is payment number 2 on that. So we'll receive one more in a coming year. So $20,000 in at this time. Just asking for you to accept it and direct us to apply that to the budget for that project. So.
Would somebody care to make that resolution?
I'll
Thank you,
offer.
Al. Would somebody care to second it?
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Any questions? If not, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 The resolution is approved. The next item under new business is insurance renewal credit. Mark Layton.
Yes, thank you for the time. I just got the recap as well. Bill and I haven't had a chance to look at it, but the levy committee worked hard on this last year. Based on what we've done last year, increasing the deductible, we saved the city $37,240 this year in premium. There's more work to be done on some of the specific properties, but that in its own is a considerable amount of money that we saved the citizens.
That's it.
That's it.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Any questions of Mark? If not, then under miscellaneous announcements, March 11 will be next committee of the whole meeting, and March 16th will be a city council meeting. Just one other comment. I did walk the Lincoln this last kind of 2 weeks, asking. I got asked by a couple of businesses downtown about whether or not to increase parking, whether there would be any appetite for turning Lincoln into one way, and the resounding kind of was basically no. So The city has not instigated any project to look at that. It was more informative. I got asked to get feedback. I got resounding feedback. But it was a good opportunity to meet with many of the businesses downtown, and also, especially with kind of Exit 54 closing, it was good to have those conversations and personally invite them to come to the meeting that was held here earlier, and quite a few of them came to that meeting, so that was good. But I think it's still. I think downtown businesses are trying to grow and looking at putting down an event downtown, and so hopefully that will come towards the council in the future. So, with that, we have nothing else. We can adjourn. Thank you.